6M. The alarm is a phone 3 carrier upgrades behind. Before your feet touch the floor, you've already checked the balance. $47 in checking. Friday is 4 days out. You're 31. And the math hasn't worked since you were 22. You brush your teeth with a brush kept past the date the dentist gave you, through the drywall, the neighbor's TV. The rent went up this year. Your paycheck didn't. $18,000 in student loans. $6,000 across the cards. Minimum payment on both. And compound interest works on you the exact way it works for rich people, just aimed the other direction. There's $200 in savings. Every time it nears anything real, the transmission goes, or a tooth. You didn't build this cycle. You were born partway down it. Now picture the other end of it. 30 floors up, in a building you'll never badge into, someone half a step into the same economy is about to climb a ladder you've never been shown the shape of. This channel is for people who want to see that structure, not get talked at. Subscribe and climb every rung of it with me. Level 1, the analyst. That someone is 23, and the title on the offer letter has the word analysis baked into it, analyst. The first month, you think that's the job you think? You analyze deals. You don't. You build them. Right now, you're buried in an LBO model, 14 linked tabs, and you've spent the entire week torturing one-line EBITDA. The money the target throws off before all the things that make it look poorer on paper. You read the due diligence binder until the letters swim. The deal on your screen is worth $400 million. You have never once shaken hands with anyone who actually runs that company. 90 to 100 hours a week. Some weeks it tips past 110. One slow night, you do the arithmetic, $110,000 divided by the hours, and you realize you earn less per hour than the kid who hands you the 4th coffee on your way back up. The bonus is supposed to make that math forgivable. They say it could hit 100% of base. They don't say when or how it's decided or by whom. Then comes the night the floor tilts a little. Your model didn't decide this deal. The deal got decided weeks ago, over dinner, 3 men and a $400 bottle of wine agreeing this company was getting bought. Your 14 tabs exist to wrap that decision in numbers so the investment committee can nod and feel like they did diligence. You're not the analyst. You're the one who tailors the verdict into a suit. At the bottom of the ladder, your work doesn't make the decision. It decorates somebody else's. You take it for 2 years. You learn to sleep in 90-minute pieces, jacket still on. And because you survived it, they hand you the next rung, the first one that actually touches the money. Associate. Level 2, the associate. You're 26 now. Your comp roughly doubled, $250,000 to $300,000, depending on the kind of year the fund had. 2, 3 analysts report to you, and they look at you the way you used to look up the chain. The all-nighters building models are over. Now you check the models other people built. And for the first time, you're in the room across the table from the management of a company your fund is about to swallow. Reading their faces while the partners do the talking. The language thickens around you fast. You learn what an add-on is by a smaller competitor, bolted onto something you already own, and the combined thing looks bigger than the sum. You learn multiple arbitrage. Buy a business at 6 times earnings. Sell it at 10. Change nothing inside it. You learn a debt covenant is a tripwire. Trip it, and the lenders take the keys. You learn management rollover, where you talk the founder into keeping 8% so he stays hungry while you take the rest. And here's the thing this rung teaches you that you can never set back down. Creating value here mostly isn't about running companies better. It's buying them cheap. Stacking $700 million of debt on top so your own cash at risk stays small, and selling them dear to the next firm down the line who runs the same play again. The company isn't the point. The company is the vehicle. You get real power on this rung. The price is that you now see exactly how the engine turns, and you'll never look at a business the plain way again. You close a $1.2 billion deal and it clears. Your name sits on the memo. They push you up to vice president where you stop running the work and start owning whether it lives or dies. Level 3, the vice president. You're 31, around $500,000 a year, and both floors below you are yours now, the analyst building, the associates checking. You're also the throat that gets squeezed when something breaks. The partners sit too high to blame, the associates too low to matter, so a bad deal wears your name. The deals you run now run to $3 billion. The vocabulary is reflex at this point. You push a dividend recap borrow fresh money against a company you already own, just to pay yourselves before you ever sell it. You live by the IRR, the internal rate of return. Because money back fast counts for more than money back big. You watch the MOIC, the multiple on invested capital, the flat number of how many times you grew the dollar. You chase bolt-ons, you defend your quarterly mark. The value you swear a company is worth before a single buyer has agreed to pay it. Then you hit the wall. $500,000 a year. And in the grammar of this place, you are still an employee. You draw a salary. You do not draw a carry the cut of the fund's profit where the actual wealth lives. There's a line running invisibly through this firm, and you just found out which side you're on. The well-paid help on one side, the owners of the game on the other. Your pay climbed. Your ownership didn't move an inch. A big salary isn't the door into the ownership class. It's a beautiful chain long enough to buy the house and the car, short enough to keep you sitting here while other people get rich off your deals. If you've come this far, this channel was built for exactly someone like you. One subscribe keeps these breakdowns coming. Now back to it. You set your sights on the only rung that changes the math at all. Principal. The first level where they cut you a sliver of the carry. Level 4, the principal. You're 36. Your comp clears $1 million for the first time, and most of it still lands as salary and bonus. But this year, a new line shows up in the package, thin as a razor blade, carried interest. Carry, the first real piece of the fund's profit written next to your name. You sit on the investment committee now. When a deal gets argued, you have a vote, not the loudest one in the room, but a vote. The transactions in front of you run to $8 billion. You speak the whole language by now. The GP commitment, the chunk of your own money the partners make you put in, so your skin is in the fire with everyone else's. The J-curve. The early stretch where a fund bleeds red before the winners compound it back. You learn your carry weights at the very bottom of the waterfall. The strict order capital flows out in when the fund returns money. And you learn the word that wakes you at 3 a.m. clawback. The clause that reaches back and takes your carry away if a later deal in the same fund vintage goes bad. Then you read the waterfall all the way down, and the floor opens up. Your carry only pays after the fund clears its hurdle rate, usually 8%, and only after the limited partners, the people who actually wired the money in, get every dollar of their capital back first. You aren't rich until they're satisfied. You don't serve the market. You serve a small circle of people who put up the money, and you've never met most of them. The moment you finally own a piece of the game is the same moment you see there are people seated above the ones you spent 13 years assuming were the top. One vintage pays back 3 times the capital. The partners hand you the last promotion the building has. Partner, level 5, the partner. You're 42. Your year runs $3 to $5 million. You own equity in the GP itself, the management company, the thing that skims a fee off every dollar the firm touches. Your name is on the door. You sit over $40 billion in AUM, assets under management, and the deals you lead cross $15 billion. By every measure anyone taught you on the way up, you've won. You talk like an owner now. You haggle over GP economics, which partner gets which slice of the firm. You build a fund of one for a single enormous investor. You waive co-invest rights at a relationship you want to keep warm. You give up management fee offset in a side letter, a private addendum that hands one investor better terms than all the others, terms the others will never lay eyes on. And you spend your whole year on the one thing that outranks every deal, the raise. Then, somewhere over the Rockies in a leased jet, the last of it falls away. You're flying out to ask for money. You, the owner, the name on the door, are about to sit in a waiting room and pitch. The $40 billion empire doesn't run on how smart you are. It runs on whether a handful of institutions will sign a fresh commitment into your next fund. No $2 billion anchor commitment, no next fund. And the whole machine, the carry, the fees, the name on the glass stops cold. The highest man in the building is still the one knocking. Because the money was never his. If that just bent the way you thought power worked, subscribe before the next part. The next part is where the floor really goes. So you fly to a low gray building in Sacramento, an address nobody in your world could pick out on a map, to meet the person who decides whether your fund lives or dies. The room has no windows, gray carpet, coffee out of a machine in the corner. And across the table sits a woman you've never seen. From a corner of this industry you spent 20 years inside and never once turned your head to look at. She's the chief investment officer of a state public pension fund. She's 58. Her salary is $480,000 a year less than a 31-year-old vice president pulls down on your floor. And she allocates $480 billion. Her day looks nothing like yours. She sat through 6 pitches before you walked in, each one a partner just like you, each one flown in, each one in a $6,000 suit explaining why their fund clears more than the one before. She ate a salad out of a plastic clamshell at her desk, somewhere between meeting 4 and meeting 5. And before she goes home, she signs one re-up memo, a recommitment, and that single signature decides whether your $12 billion fund gets its next allocation or quietly dries up and dies. Stay with the numbers a second. One signature from a public servant earning $480,000 settles the fate of a partner earning $5 million. You spent 2 decades sure you were the predator at the top of the chain. You're a line item. A single row on her spreadsheet, manager 14 of 60. And to get 30 minutes of her time, you booked 3 weeks out and waited in a hallway with your deck on your knees. The whole ladder you climbed, analyst, associate, VP, principal, partner, all of it fits underneath one person whose name nobody in your world would bother to remember. And she answers to a board of 9 trustees, some of them elected by people who've never heard your firm's name, and they can replace her in a single vote. 5:42 a.m. on the 31st floor again. A different 23-year-old is rebuilding the same LBO model for the 9th time tonight for that same $12 billion fund. The one whose survival got decided by a signature in a gray room he's never heard of and never will. He thinks he's climbing toward the top. He doesn't know where the top is. He doesn't know it was never in this building. There's one more ladder the outside world gets completely backwards. Subscribe and come back for it.